You know, I realized something the other day. I think we're getting ripped off for SD cards. How much do we pay for a 400 gigabyte SD card? It's like $250 now, isn't it? That's insane, especially after I was turned on to a website called Wish.com that is selling 512 gigabyte SD cards for $9. Sounds great, right? Sounds legit. So I did what any other person would have done when they came across a strange website. Gave them all my credit card information, personal information to get the transaction to go through. And then they threw it on what I assumed to be the slowest tugboat known to man. And well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. A 512 gigabyte SD card. Not even in production anywhere else. Just with this very odd looking website that happens to sell these cards for $9. So I expect nothing but the best from this card. This particular SD card came from a listing on Wish.com for the low price of $13 after paying $4 for shipping. Several people did send me this listing after seeing ads on both Facebook and Google, so this is actively being advertised online. Keep that in mind as we go along here. After about a month or so, on probably the slowest tugboat, the package did arrive that held the unbelievably priced storage for my Nintendo Switch. I mean, how can I beat a value of less than 3 cents per gigabyte here? I mean, seriously, this card's like the size of your fingernail. Like, probably could have thrown it like a pilot's like coat pocket or something to get it over. I paid $4 whole for this thing to be shipped. That's almost 50% of the card itself. The SD card has a basic looking orange design on the front with the orange wave branding across the top with a white stripe. At the bottom, it has the impossible promise of 512 gigabytes of storage on board. So I broke out my Nintendo Switch, popped the card in, and expected to see either a blank SD card not working or some other size. I was a little surprised here because I'm greeted with 499 gigabytes of free space. I mean, this is impossible, right? This thing can't work. So I went ahead, I downloaded a quick game, I booted it up, and everything seems to run fine from this card. I'm as shocked as you are. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. 512 gigabyte SD card. I guess I have one of the first ones known to man, since no one else is making them other than Orange Wave, who I guess is a legitimate company at this point. Seems to work fine. Downloaded games, put it on there, Switch shows it, computer shows it. Everything's good, guys. Remember, if you like this video, hit that like button down below. And guys, 512 gigabyte SD card, right? Well, all right, this is the scenario that most people are faced with when they order fake SD cards, which has been an ongoing issue for years now. See, the way an SD card works is pretty simple. Inside there are areas of memory for storage, and to communicate with the device that is using it, a microcontroller is used. This controller manages data that is heading in and out of the card and will even tell the device how much free space is left on any card. Now, the issue we are facing with these false microSD card sizes is an issue with the microcontroller telling the system that the advertised space is on the other side when in actuality it's not. In fact, we've had groups of people, for example, Bunny Studios in 2013, they outlined all of their findings for actually hacking the microcontrollers in SD cards, showing that it can be altered and arbitrary code can be executed. During this explanation, they showed that the microcontrollers could be altered to do different tasks, or in this case, show different values. So what we are seeing here with this 512 gigabyte micro SD card is the microcontroller program to promise the host system a size of 512 gigabytes of storage while housing a smaller size. Now you might be wondering, how small could this 512 gigabyte card actually be? Well, fortunately, there are tools out there that will tell us exactly how large this card actually is. All right, guys, the moment you've been waiting for. We're going to see how big this 512 gigabyte card actually is. I have my tools here. Well, let's take a look. All right, we've got one shot at this. These SD cards are pretty delicate. So it's about 5/8 of an inch. What? All right. On a more serious note, we really can tell how large the capacity of this card is. To do this, we'll be using a program called H2 Test W. The way this program works to identify space is to essentially write a ton of information to the card and then read it back. When a card like this that is being spoofed runs out of room, it begins to overwrite information to make it fit. So when it's done writing this information, this program will read back and verify the amount of space that was used, giving us a decent picture of the real capacity behind this 512 gigabyte card. So with the card inserted and the program loaded up, I started by telling the program to send 32 gigabytes of data to the card and then verify how much stuck around on the card. And it turns out I overshot this capacity by a mile. As you can see here, it was able to verify 3.8 gigabytes of data which remained. This tells us that these 512 gigabyte cards that are being sold are actually 4 gigabyte cards that are being spoofed and rebadged as 508 gigabytes higher than what's actually there. As I said before, this practice is very common for fake cards, especially when shopping on Chinese wholesale sites like Alibaba or AliExpress, for example. Even eBay at this point is no stranger to these cards, so I always recommend you buy from known sellers. All right, so a couple things. One, the backdrop I noticed halfway through the video was super boring looking, so I was between lazily hung Christmas lights or lazily hung posters, and I just happen to still have a lot of Christmas lights laying around, so congratulations. Christmas lights with a ton of effort hung up. And second, we need to take this guy apart, right? I always try to take stuff apart if I can here, and the SD card is no exception. I want to know how this works internally, so we are going to use the most scientific method I and probably anyone else could come up with, short of having an actual lab to work on. Now we're going to need our Ziploc bag for this, and we're going to have to be extremely delicate with this situation. We do not want to ruin the SD card, because this is probably one of the only 512 gigabyte SD cards that is still in existence now. Seriously, SanDisk, Western Digital, we heard about one other one coming up at some point, but right now, this appears to be the only one in existence. DearWish.com. It has come to my attention that your listing for the Orange Wave 512 gigabyte micro SD card is missing important information that your customers should know before buying. I believe it is important to be as transparent as possible when selling goods online. After vigorous testing, I have an addendum that should be made to your listing so that your customers know what they are getting into. Please add the following to your typed listing alongside the SD card. Not hammer-proof. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me here today. I guess if you see these cards online and they seem too good to be true, it's probably because they are. So really don't believe it if it's a 512 gigabyte card for $10 bucks. Really put some money into your SD card. You know, you're probably going to find a 128 gig card for somewhere between $30 and $40. That's just the way it is. We are looking now towards 500 gigabyte cards later on this year. I think April and May, they're probably going to be like they're probably like $300, $350, somewhere in there. But of course, the smaller ones, like the 400 gig card, will probably fall to 200. So keep that in mind. If these cards are that much, there's no way you're going to find something like a 500 gig card on an unnamed site in like the back alley of the internet. So keep that in mind. I hope you guys learned something here. I hope you had some fun today. I guess if there's anyone out there who is telling you that you can get these kind of cards that cheap and they work, share the video with them and show them, because I think more people should know before they get ripped off. Guys, thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you enjoy technology, gaming, news, and everything, and videos like these where we go kind of in depth with some of the stuff and have a little fun at the same time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later on.